Welcome to the Joel Fleischman special podcast with one of my only industry friends, Bradley Hartmann. How are you, sir?
Never better, man. Great to see you. Great to be here.
Missing my room, missing my producer. I am a man with no safety net today, so I apologize. He's a sports guy, so we were playing a open scrimmage here in real time. So
love it. Open scrimmage. I like that idea.
Cheers. So let's do this. We just talked about AI pre-podcast. I've done it before on the podcast. As Brad was talking and rambling on about some sales management techniques, I simply put into my AI machine, Gemini, give me a bio for Brad Hartmann, LBM guy, for my podcast, opening with him on it. Here it is. There's one that actually says value focused and conversational, best for a deep dive interview. I'll be using three options. Yeah. If you're looking to sharpen your sales game, drive margins, and stop competing purely on price, today's guest is the guy to listen to. Bradley Hartmann has been on every side of the construction sandbox, from stacking lumber and swinging a hammer to building more than 1,000 homes and advising the country's top LBM dealers, distributors, and manufacturers. He's an author of 15 books, a former college quarterback, and a university professor who is passionate about building stronger teams and bridging the language gaps in construction. Bradley, welcome to the Happy Hour podcast.
It's great to be here, man. That's pretty good.
It's not bad.
Not bad.
I didn't know what work for. Seemed right.
Yeah,
cool.
Exactly.
So let's get to the meat of why you're on. A while back, it was sparked, I don't know why, not by AI, interesting enough, that I saw something and I'm like, I need to get Bradley on, but there should be a carrot. And I'm like, what should the carrot be? Bradley, come on, and we will give away one of your unbelievably cool things that I guess is probably the anchor of your business, I would think and hope. And that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to give a package away today to one of our very lucky LBM salesmen, as you would call them, or OSRs, as you would call them, as we would call it, building supply quarterbacks, which is, so again, cabinetry, flooring folks. Sorry, Brad does not specialize in those categories. Into the sector. If you want to win this, and it's going to be a drawing, drop me a note. Probably wouldn't hurt why you want to win it. And then we will have you back on regularly with Bradley as a laboratory rat to see if his package is actually worth it. So that's kind of fun.
I love it. Yeah. I think they should make a good sales pitch to you, Joel, on why they should make the investment very generous in them by collaborating with us.
Because the value of this is, drumroll, $18,000 over a 12-month period. Brad, insert sales pitch, ready, set, go.
That's right. So the OSR Academy is about selling confidence, giving you the skills in yourself and the tools and the confidence to go out, to go on offense, to generate new business in a way that really differentiates you as a seller in the market. And my background on the building side, we bring in the smartest people we know from inside the industry and outside the industry, including builders themselves. So you can hear it directly from them. And we want to make it all relevant, entertaining, and brief. So that's the pitch.
What's the requirements for time? We're busy people. I don't have a lot of time for this, Brad. But yet I want to sharpen iron sharpens irons. I understand.
Yep.
How does this actually play out over the 12-month period?
Yeah, so there's 4 8-week terms.
$18,000 is like tuition, and like, how are you justifying that? I mean, I just thought of like a state tuition's like $7,000 for a year.
By the way, what state school are we talking about? $7,000? What is this? 1981?
Oh well, whatever. It's a state school in Wisconsin where you drink more than. I mean, don't even get me Charlie Kirk. That state school has already been recommended in any sense of shape or form in a business degree, because I can do a whole podcast that I do not think they are worth a pinch of value, just like Charlie Kirk would say. In many industries, again, I think if you're going to school to be a doctor, you should go to college. To be a business QB professional, I would challenge you why you would go to any state school for a business degree. However, having said that, how the hell is it worth $18,000?
It's a great question. And I think our industry traditionally hasn't. Like, the number of companies I've talked to have said, we've been in business for 100 years. We've been successful. We've never had a training budget. And what we're seeing now, especially post-COVID, we're sending a lot of salespeople out there and we're giving them a gas card and a truck and a laptop. Business cards will come in 8 weeks and we're like, get her done. And we're seeing that these guys don't have the time management skills. They struggle to identify goals. you'd be hard pressed to find guys who can put together an intelligent pipeline to forecast the future and don't have confidence in negotiating. And then
let's not only do that, let's slam them. If they don't treat, because we don't do that. Again, a little Joel Fleischman Drexel plug. We have a boot camp, right?
Yes.
They sit every day behind the scenes for month after month after month after month on 40 hours with speakers every single day and guidance and job site visits. And we get them poised to do that over a 4 to 6 month period, sometimes 12 weeks, depending on the boot camp style and which position it is. So yes, not only is it all behind the scenes a problem, they're getting no real world experience either. So good luck, Mr. Builder, signing up for a new salesman, because you're going to have to train them and groom them, which seems completely ridiculous when they're actually the customer. Why would you have to groom anybody? If I had somebody from a bank come in or a lawyer firm come in and saying, you know what, it's a brand new lawyer, Joel, you show them the ropes of construction and lawyering through the lumber yards, because they're a young guy, but we're going to learn with them. Call me if you run into a problem.
Right.
And that's the industry in a nutshell. We're not like that, but that's cool. But again, why the $18,000, Bradley?
Yeah. And what we do is we've got a full school. So every single week, we're giving them some reading to do. We're getting them to collaborate with other sales reps across the country. And
how many people are in a class?
So we cap it at 25. So it's very personal,
very intimate, right? Not in a pit room setting, or not hundreds of people on Tony Robbins call. Okay.
Right. So we're getting to know them really well. And we've really tried to curate this. To your point, they're busy. They're going to have other jobs. So the expectation is somewhere between 30 to 45 minutes a week or so. And the idea is, hey, if we stretch this out over a year, we can really track their progress. And, to your point about the training, we got guys who hope, and gals hit the field and they're going to sell 2 million or 3 million or 4 million, whatever market you're in, whatever your expectation is, at a 25 to 30% margin. And yet the level of training we're going to give them is often like none. So, and
do you realize you're charging on your math at $6.92 a minute? $7 a minute. This better be liquid gold. You're on blast right now, man. You're selling a premium product.
Well, and we are, right. And a lot of times, we've never had this conversation, but if I'm giving a keynote or we're developing a product,
you're like, time out. You invited me on your podcast, brother.
What's that?
You can be like, hold on. You invited me on your podcast. You seem like you're slamming me right now.
No, is that I should be, if you are investing in me and my team to help train your people, and you say in our market, do you want to be the Walmart of building material suppliers? We're like, well, no, it needs to be reasonable. There has to be some relationship between the value and the price. And I'll say, hey, there is, but also I'm not for everyone and neither are you. And we're trying to find those people that really believe in that. And the reality is, are we making a commitment that I'm going to help you land another $60,000 job at 28, 27% margin to pay for itself in the first year? Yeah, you're damn right I am. I'm that confident in what we do.
Fair enough. Yep. We're going to do it. So if you're interested, if you're listening, hope you are, send me a message why. Bradley and I will pick out the person along with Clint and the regional manager and the marketing leader and regional leader and the market leader. They're direct bosses, and we will go from there. All right, let's move on.
Let's do it.
What do you got first, son? And again, Bradley has got a podcast, much more popular than mine. How many? What do you got for? What's your main focus? Spotify, or like how many followers you got? Views? What listens? What are you averaging on a normal pod?
Yeah, so we got 2 now. We about a year ago, a little less than a year ago, we really wanted to lean into more of the sales aspect. So we have the craft of LBM sales. We just had episode 75. That comes out.
It's good. It's very good. It's very, very targeted, focused, niche. If you're into that, right? Probably don't get a lot out of it if you're a plumber or a artist.
That's correct. We really wanted to lean into that. And meanwhile, the one that you've been on, you were on. What were you on? You were on, I think, 100.
Like a milestone. Yeah.
And 200, I believe.
Crazy.
I think you were 1 and 100. So the Construction Leadership Podcast, that's still going. We're nearing 550 episodes. That comes out every Monday or Tuesday and Thursday. And I try not to get I always want to see these numbers go up and to the right, like, any competitive person. But we'll get a little over about 6,000 downloads a month for the Construction Leadership Podcast. And we're a little
It's a
over
small industry. There's only 6,000 construction leaders, so you probably have all of them.
Well said. It's a good way to think about it. That make me feel better about myself.
Yeah, you might have like 95% market share. You just don't even realize it.
That's funny.
You just have to expand your horizon.
Right.
All right. So cool. So again, interesting. You're a much bigger podcast guy than me. I'll ask you, what would you like to focus on first, or we could talk all day?
The fascinating thing is a little bit what you shared about your AI usage, because it is not uncommon for leaders in our industry to say one of two things, which is either I'm a little nervous, I'm scared, I don't know which direction we're going to go, and therefore I'm either only using it a little bit, which means almost zero, or I'm not using it at all. And meanwhile, I think you and I are very closely alike. If somebody said, how many hours in a week are you working, and what percentage of those do you not use AI? What I'm going through right now with the project management and stuff we've got going on, the answer is zero. Every single hour I'm working, I'm engaging and leveraging either AI, ChatGPT, Claude. I use Perplexity on my phone. I don't even know why I only use Perplexity on my phone, but I truly believe that this has given me another, depending on what it is, editor, consultant, coach, and I've really pushed this with my team, and they've seen a lot of value. So I don't know. I would love to hear what your day-to-day looks like, and what are you using, and how are you leveraging it?
That's a great question. Uniquely about me, if you work with me for a very short period of time or around me, I am a unique person, and I don't realize I'm unique because I just think I'm me. But I mean, I do really have like, that 100 ideas a day. My brain's just always going. So I can just throw that into Gemini, and it can elaborate on what I'm thinking, right? So I'll say, I'm thinking about this, tell me more. I'm researching this product. I'm thinking we should go from yesterday was stain grain poplar. We're having some problems with, because when you stain it, it's really wild. How much more is it to go to white poplar? Why would I go to white poplar? What are the best manufacturers of that in our region? Who would you lean on the most? Why should I do it? Should I not do it? Right? Tell me the opposite of what I'm thinking. And then just going down and then tweaking that. I use it tremendously for any email, any letter, to provide clarity to the conversations. I think probably one of the biggest, people almost forget, your job as the leader is for clear and quick clarity and communication. I can't even say it. And we all struggle with that. How do you do that? So again, that refining, mentorship, tutoring, guidance to make it more presentable. And then the nuances of it all, I love to put it in there, such as if I was driving with somebody to go see Lincoln Windows in Merrill, Wisconsin, Danny Timming, shout out to her. And I said, we're going to see Lincoln Windows. Give me a 20-minute podcast that we can listen to on the way up. And I want to know everything about Lincoln Windows. I want to know all of their management people, what they do for a living, what are their hot interests, what do they do? Tell me, who should I be talking to and what questions I should ask. 20 minutes to listen to that podcast. So it prepares me for meetings, helps me answer questions that I have in my heart and mind and soul. And it's almost scary because it is extremely intuitive. I have a ongoing thread, or a gem, I think they call it in Gemini, that's called Rosie Rose. I've developed her. I use her for business, and she knows intimate details about me. She's got an English accent, and she just keeps picking up on cues. So I've asked her, and it goes on for hundreds of conversations. She really is like my executive assistant, oddly enough. I'll say, Rosie Rose, tell me, draft this up for me, right? And it's pretty good. Gets a little off-winded once in a while, but she's good.
Well, I like what you kind of referred to there is one of the biggest kind of pre-AI.
Before I totally puke and then go back to it, I am a marketing guy at heart too. The image creation of billboards, infographics. I didn't know the term infographic a month ago. I love infographics. Build me an infographic of what I'm thinking. Again, I realize how visual people are and how easy that is. And then all the cues, right? Make it like I can read it to my grandma or a fifth grader.
Yeah.
Right. I actually had a vendor come in, and he was very corporate and used a lot of words and a lot of business jargon. So I replied to his proposal, which I did not like. I said, act like I just have a master's degree from Wharton Law School or Wharton Business School, right? And it had these craziest words, differentiate the, scientific, economic downturn, stifling collaboration it was awesome. It was like, so like not me, but it was great. Okay, pick up where you left off. Sorry.
Well, you said something there. I think to your point, and my newsletter, we do a Craft of LBM sales newsletter that comes out every Thursday. And the one today talked exactly about that. I made a new NBA similar logo for my Sport of Selling column in LBM Journal. And I think to your point, though, your use of visuals in combination with copy and audio, that is communication. So
Yes.
The more you can lean into infographics and visuals, you become a better communicator. The thing I was going to mention, though, is the thing that I'm always worried about, and kind of pre-AI, it was something that was more pervasive, I think, was just hunting for confirmation bias and not understanding that your brain is, you're just out there, you're ignoring all the stuff that, competes with what you're saying and is looking for stuff that coincides with it. I made my own GPT, and all it does is says, clarify what you think, what you want to be true. And its whole job is to be anti-confirmation bias, to challenge the way I'm thinking, to give the other angle. And when you go through that, it's like, all right, I'm 48 now. How many years of my life have I not been doing this nearly rigorous enough? The answer, almost every other year until I started doing this, and it's just the way human brains have developed. It's hard, but if you create a tool that's all it does, I firmly believe that's helped me be a better thinker and, hopefully better solution provider to those we work with.
I like taking two and go against each other.
Yeah.
Gemini has just told me this, Grok has just told me this, and I put them both to get against each other to see that like them discuss amongst each other. Yeah. Again, sounds really crazy and weird if you don't use this daily, right. But it's not going away. There's nothing to be scared of, and people are really worried about that. Hey, they're creating all this data based on you. They already have it all. We're already decades past that. It's too late. Don't worry about that, in my opinion. Well, like they even said, like a lot of people are really concerned about proprietary information getting to my competition. One, what?
Right.
Two, what are they going to do with it? Three, where? I can't. I actually tried. Because somebody really got deep into me, so I actually challenged them. I went on AI. I said, give me proprietary information about the following competitors. And they're like, there's nothing out there. I'm like, yeah, if I can't get it, they can't get it. But anyways, that's their normal concerns, and I would caution against that. Great for a sales meeting too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm curious, do you remember over the last, few years, what was the turning point for you that went from, I'm curious, I'm exploring, to Katie bar the door, I'm all in, I'm using this every hour of every day? Do you remember what that was, Joel?
Yeah, I didn't have a light bulb moment. I've always been a real technology freak. Like I'm always seemingly kind of ahead of the curve, and leaning into that stuff and not scared of it. It really just started picking up maybe last fall, I want to say, where every time I was on it, it seemingly got better.
Yeah. I'm
like, especially the image creation. That's probably where I started using it the most. And I'm like, oh. And then in 2 weeks, I'm like, you guys see where this is going?
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of interacting with it like conversationally based is when it really had traction. Before it looked kind of Google-ish. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, it's just like talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was last fall that it really just started to improve. And then I saw the scales of improvement where I'm like, it's not quite what I wanted yet. But then the next time I went on, I was like, that's better. Yeah. And then even, it still happens, but that has it happened to you? Have you gotten an email back that's AI generated and you knew it? It's happened once to me so far. Like when you polish your email and have the AI generate the email. Like it's so obvious, as best regards, comma, it's got the colons, the emojis. And like, oh, that's the first time I got an email back that was AI. That's cool. I liked it because it was funny. So it is, I don't know, that's kind of a ramble, but I try to be careful to make it look not AI.
Yeah.
I guess like to answer my question, that's kind of when I started using it more, when things started to look not canned.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful editor. Understanding relationships and trust and authenticity. It's a wonderful editor. I'd be very careful because they're like, hey, you can connect this and it can respond automatically to your emails because it's read your last 100,000 emails.
Right.
I'm like, something about that doesn't feel right. But to your point, the game changer for me was last September. I was talking to a guy and he was with me and he said something and I went and I typed something in. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm typing into Claude. He's like, why? I'm like, I don't understand the question. He's like, just talk to it. I'm like, what do you mean talk to it? He's like, dictate. And I went home and I'm like, all right, I shut my doors and I started dictating, and its ability to listen for a 2 or 3 minute ramble. And I, like you, there's just too much going on upstairs.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. It can interpret that, and then give me something back useful. And that all of a sudden was, oh, now I can converse and think and improve at the speed of my thinking and speaking versus typing, which those are two different things.
And maybe beyond what we asked. Like if you do that 2-minute rant, you actually get the output that you maybe weren't even asking but wanted.
Yeah.
Which is really wild, And as a business leader, and again, something like I'm kind of a little bit of an entrepreneur. You can build a business model confidently, like Shark Tank, or to present to a bank in that detail financially and graphically and thought out executive summaries and all of that, again, within minutes. Like, is this a good business idea? Is this a venture I want to get into? And man, it's like within a few prompts, it's amazing.
Yeah. And to your point, that having done this,
I wish I was doing it more as the opposite, right? How did you call it? The conflict, instead of confirmation bias, what's the opposite of that?
Anti-confirmation bias.
I don't know if that was a term I was looking for, but yes, I need to use it more to be like, challenge me because I'm convinced that this is the world's best idea.
Yeah. What was I just going to say? Anyway, I lost it. But
I'm so smart, it always agrees with me, and I'm sure I'm always right. I'm totally joking. That's what my brain tells me. Like, oh yeah, see, it told me I'm good. Yeah. That's the tricky part of AI. It always tries to confirm your bias, for sure.
It's interesting because I certainly have experienced that. Literally, I mentioned the newsletter I put out today.
Yeah.
I had went in with this idea, and so this idea 80%, and this idea kind of secondary. And normally it would just say, brilliant idea. Your people are going to love this. And it actually said, well, interesting. I think your secondary idea is stronger, and here's why. And at first I was like, well, that's unusual for it to push back. And the more I dug into it, it was right. By the time I switched it, we lost that main idea that I started with that got me going. We threw it out completely, and it was much better for it. And again, so it's challenging a little bit, but it's also, I would normally do this I would annoy the hell out of somebody and say, hey, let me tell you what I'm thinking here, and let me talk out loud. Nobody wants to hear that. Claude built for that. That's all it does, and it loves it. But for it to challenge me and help me shape something better, and this just happening regularly, it blows my mind. So
same. Okay, so let's move on a little bit.
Yep.
Zoomed out. Most people, I would say, that listen or watch this, and myself very much included, I don't leave my office most days, except to go to other meetings. I don't leave, our corporate offices very often. So give me a zoomed out perspective of what's going on in the industry. How is the building economy? You have your fingers everywhere. You have your pulse everywhere. What's your prediction? How does 2026 look like? How does 2027 look like? What are industry trends? Are things going up, down, stagnant? What are you thinking?
It's interesting because things in general, they're not bad, but I think what people remember most, we kind of have a recency bias towards COVID, despite all the terribleness that came with that, pretty profitable years we had. And now we're really entering,
I hope nobody's comparing those net income statements to anything they've ever seen.
Correct.
Especially if you add in PPP money. Like, that was just insanity.
I forgot. Yeah, correct. So what we've seen is really a lot of the sales tourists, we call them, guys who are around. The money was easy. We said they're selling, they're making good money. I think a lot of those folks are moving on to something else because you do have to compete differently. We've really seen a lot of sales managers who, coming out of the Great Recession, Joel, maybe 2012, 2013, all the way through 2024, maybe a little bit of 2025, probably 2024, they've been rock stars. And all they were told is you're amazing, you're good. Well, now all of a sudden, if their report card is my sales rep's performance every 30 days, like they didn't know what they're doing wrong. And this is the first time they really haven't had the wind at their back. So I think a lot of folks are experiencing that. And obviously the economic drivers, the war going on and Strait of Hormuz, we've all gotten much better at our Middle Eastern geography lately. Like all that's happening. But the thing that I love, and I think we should all understand the industry we've chosen to operate in. Who would you say, Joel, if you were to think of like one of the companies who is known for making long-term intelligent bets in terms of a publicly traded stock and has been known as like some of the smartest long-term thinkers? Who comes to mind? Anybody?
The Buffett boys just dove into our industry. They just drove back in. Well, I mean, they bought Shaw Carpet years ago, but they're back in
a big way with Taylor Morrison, right?
Yeah.
Now, you're right. Yeah. They've owned John's Man.
Little backstory for those that you don't know. Huge production builder. They bought. They're now a production building company, right? They're the GCs.
That's right.
So keep going. Yeah, just a debriefing. Yeah.
So, long-term thinkers, and while Warren Buffett's in his late 90s and kind of stepped back, this next generation of Berkshire said, okay, this is where we want to be. Probably not for the next quarter or two. These guys are long-term thinkers. And then you look at if there's one country on the planet who is known for real long-term thinking specific to companies and organizations and industries, it would be Japan. Japan over the last 3 or 4 years has started investing heavily in United States housing stock. They bought TriPoint. There's a company called Sumitomo Forestry. They're in, and that's where I think when we look around saying there's not enough houses are too expensive. Like that's an issue that we have right now. Municipalities, don't even get me started on what the hell's going on there. So you have some of these structural constraints, and then you have some of the smartest long-term thinkers who are saying, this is the sandbox we want to play in long-term. That to me confirms what I already believe, which is, man, yeah, we're kind of going through some weird times right now. Still not bad. But I think the future will be brighter than the past is what I believe. That's fair.
We're sensing the same thing here at Drexel. Lots of opportunities. Builders are busy, but they're not doing more than they ever did. So the only way to help grow your company is to find more builders, because you can't lean on builders to grow their business. They have the constraints of cost, delays in scheduling, problems at the job site, government delays, municipalities, lot improvements. Don't even get me started.
Yeah.
So yes, I agree. I agree fully.
Yeah. And we call these the NFPOs, that whoever joins our program is like, how can we think about the needs, fears, pains, and then the opportunities for growth? You talk to any builder today. I know guys who've been building for 40 years, and they'll say, this is some of the most competitive and stressful and anxiety producing times we've ever been in, because we really can't be confident about our margin and when we can close and our profitability when we do close. And that has created all these things. Well, we are in a really unique position and these are not easily solved, but we can jump in and help. And when we can do that, we get rewarded, and we, form those long-term relationships that our industry is built upon.
Yeah, we have one really, really cool thing at Drexel that we do, which is offsite construction. Guaranteed, turnkey, including labor, framing. Right? It's close to 7 to 8 times faster. Construction loans, scheduling. We're 93%. We finish on our completion date when we tell you. 93%. There are no returns. There are no surprises. There are no change orders. When we told you it was going to be $127,000 to frame your home in 4 days, including the windows installed, we meant it. We delivered, and you're done. So we do have something very unique to the industry that, again, I'll put it this way, Brad. So many people from Wisconsin are listening. Maybe thinks offsite construction is normal, or is it just something that we mimicked from somebody in New Hampshire? How many of the 10,000 if there's 10,000 building material companies that kind of do what we do and sell to builders in the country, how many do you think there are? Maybe 10,000? 10,000 is a lot. 100 per state is, Yeah, 10,000 maybe.
Sure.
100 per state's 5,000. So maybe. Anyways, there's 10,000 guys doing it. How many are doing what we're doing offsite construction? Turnkey framing with labor and windows in the walls and floor decks.
A couple, maybe.
Yeah, we may be one of one in North America the way we do it, right?
Yeah, well, and I think there's always someone who's living in the future. And it's not like no one's doing it, but there's only like one or two.
Yeah.
And if you don't think these Japanese companies that are coming over or Berkshire Hathaway, when you get that smart money, guys are going to come in and say, okay, how much waste is on the average home?
QXO, right?
Right. Those guys are thinking different.
Their stock shares are, sidebar, stock shares are not doing well. I don't know if they care at all, but their stocks are not, they're just stuck. Interesting.
Yeah. It'll be
sidebar conversation.
And I think Brad Jacobs is he's making a long-term play for where they're going to be. But I mean, you look at our industry, and like I was raised in this industry. It was not uncommon. Today, we put a dumpster out in the driveway. We fill that dumpster with extra material. We pay to have that removed.
Brand new material. Yeah.
Right? We'll bring another one. We fill that up. Like, and to your point, like no change orders, no waste, right? Like this is the future. And maybe you guys are going to go ahead in the future before you have a whole lot of competition. And I know that people have been talking about removing waste and lean thinking and modularization. But again, Berkshire Hathaway owned Clayton Homes, different aspect of the business, but that is purely modular. So I think this is going to continue to be a long-term trend that I think you guys are on the leading edge of.
Yeah, interesting.
Yep.
Okay. What else we want to talk about, my friend?
Dude, well, you've probably been gracious on having me on your podcast and not kicking me in the crotch about the idiocy that continues to be the Chicago Bears leadership. But I do been thinking about that a lot. And I know you guys aren't obsessively focused on the Chicago Bears as you should be, 2027 Super Bowl champions as they will be. But their leadership for 6 years.
How can you be excited about Caleb Williams, just as a human, as a man, as an ex-football quarterback? What as a leader of men, I can't get aboard Caleb. It's great that he's on the Bears. I think it's wild, fascinating.
You don't have to. You don't have to be on board. You can stay at the train station. You don't have to get on board. That's fine. It's fine.
At the train station, we're going to say at the Mecca at Lambeau Field. That's where I'll be, my friend.
You have a different point of view. You come from a place where landing generationally talented quarterbacks just comes naturally. We, to the south of you, we do not share that. We are more like the Cleveland Browns, who the only thing we didn't do that could have been dumber was to sign Deshaun Watson to a guaranteed $235 million contract. That's the only thing.
I am. Bears got some stuff going on. They got some good stuff going on. I'm not going to lie. But anyways, yes, the leadership of moving them to Indiana, threatening, which is now seeming to be a reality. Where is that coming from?
Well, my take of this is going back to the history of the NFL, like where it started. George Halas started the NFL, but was always relatively poor, paid $100 for the franchise of the Bears. And now, through successive generations, his grandchildren are running it. They have never ran anything else. They never ran a bank. They never started a gas station. They never did anything else. So all they did was really grow up into this insular thing. So now I don't think they're nearly prepared and as imaginative or intelligent running that. And you see this with the lack of decisiveness. And as I'm thinking about the leadership principles there, Joel, it's when your leaders constantly go back and forth. We've spent $200 million to go in the suburbs, and then then we're going to go back to Soldier Field, and then now we're going to Indiana. Now it's a little bit different because the Chicago Bears are more of a public trust than anything. But I think as leaders, there's always going to be fear, uncertainty, and doubt. You got to make decisions anyway. And I think you and your acquisitions and your leaning technology, you're emblematic of that. You don't know. There's no promises. But if you just dilly-dally for 6 years and now you actually have a decent team, you're not making the main thing the main thing. And I think that there's a lesson there about there's always going to be uncertainty and doubt. You got to make a decision. and you need to prove the future right. If you just wait for everything to come your way, that you're probably going to be waiting for a long time. And that's what the Bears are doing right now.
I actually think also my biggest takeaway, maybe in professional sports overall, pressure causes diamonds, right? Or the old thing, right? Pressure makes diamonds. The struggle, the journey is the destination. The struggle, how do you build muscle? You got to rip muscle down to build it. The further you fall down, the more you're going to bounce up. And I will say, these entities that Joel creates or the Drexel creates, right? They struggle. We struggle making money, making a net income. We go through leadership changes. We do changes in the product and the process. It's not easy, right? And for professional sports and the third gen Hallises, it's easy. You cannot lose money in the NFL. I don't think they can lose money. The Browns can't lose money. No one can lose money when it's so easy and so many zeros. Not like a little easy. It ends up not challenging you, and you focus on the wrong things, and you become obsessed with the wrong things, and you aren't ever been challenged, so you become kind of really weak and lazy. But also I think somebody becomes cynical and egotistical and narcissistic, and because, hey, look at us, look at the zeros, look what I've done. It was my idea to X, which again, when you can't fail, you can't fail, right? So I do think, again, how often do champions repeat, the old sport adages. The Spurs are blowing it, by the way, just blowing it, historically blowing it. I will never say Jalen Brunson is a good player. I cannot get the words out of my mouth. I refuse to believe it. I do not know why. Is it his body type? Is it his hairstyle? Am I just an old, crabby old man, and shaking my fist at the clouds? But I cannot get aboard with Jalen Brunson. I refuse to believe he's anything more than a James Harden light.
Wow.
I don't know.
All right. That's a hot take. I will
Not
say,
really. I don't know. Again, like you see kids wearing Jalen Brunson jerseys. I mean, like, is he in the Ring of Honor in the last 2 years anywhere? Like, is anybody like, give me the top 5 current players and they say Jalen Brunson? Now they're going to have to, but
I think that'll say more about you than him. And I don't think wearing jerseys is the measure of success. What I do know is, now I will say I'm biased. He's a Chicago kid. He won state championship in high school. He won 2 in college. And he was the guy who we looked at him and Luka and we're like, keeping Luka, get this guy out of here. I mean, he's going to deliver the New York Knicks a championship. He's the best guy.
No, it's incredible. I just can't. My brain, again, the confirmation bias, I refuse to admit that I was wrong, that he wasn't good. I watch it. I don't see it. He's not splashy. He makes, whatever.
You're not alone.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith hot takes where he said there's now one NBA player on their Villanova team when they won a championship. And now 3 of the guys are all literally on the same team that are going to win a championship with the Knicks. And that's, to your point though, it's, and I think this can tie back to AI, which is like, all right, let me think about my own thinking. What did I see then? Has he changed? Have I changed? And does it matter? But I'm like understanding on, hey, to what degree do I have the ability to change my mind and understand when I'm wrong? I'm not great at that, but I'm trying to get better. So,
it's also entertainment, right? We always got to have our villains being competitive people.
Correct. Yeah, for sure.
So that's it's always the superhero culture kind of. So it's okay to have villains. There's just not enough. There's never enough villains. So he'll be my villain, I guess, if I will. If I cared at all. I don't even know if anybody cares of the NBA at all besides some small conversations.
Yeah, I want to hit on something you mentioned, though, like that struggle. It's something I probably say it more to myself than the team, is that the struggle is the part. And part of what we should be doing is going after big challenges. And we should be hoping to provide immense value. And when you do that, you look around, it's like, there's not a lot of people doing this. Yeah, you know why? It's probably really hard. And other people are like, that's stupid. Only an idiot would try to solve that problem. And I'm like, man, there's no guarantees. But I'm like, when we're struggling to this new sales managers guild, that's never been a thing before. And it is kind of a premium product. Like, yeah, it's hard and we got to work our asses off. And some days I'm like, what on earth am I doing? Why? And then I'm like, you know why? Well, because I think this should exist and I think we need to help more people. And that's why we do it. And I think to your point, when it is a struggle and it is a grind, that's probably a sign that you've chosen to pursue something that can deliver a lot of value. And if it was easy, it would already been solved, or everyone else would be doing it. So
right, big fat. What's the old term? Big fat hairy goal. Right?
sure,
Big fat. What's your big fat hairy goal? I think that was a thing for a few years, a decade ago. Like you always had to have like a big fat audacious hairy goal. Yeah, I would agree with that. And I'm reading a book called, I think it's called The Waste of Life. Very religious book, very Christian book, and his, man, I'll probably never forget it. It's like chapter 2, and he just starts hitting you with some bombs, and he's like, I heard about this, couple, and I kind of, she retired when she was 51. He retired when he was 59, and for 30 years they lived in Florida and played pickleball and collected seashells. And he goes, "Are you kidding me? There couldn't be more of a waste of life than that." And again, that gets a little sensitive because you have friends or family or uncles, or you may aspire to that. But his point was like, I don't think when they die, Jesus is going to want to see your seashell collection from Florida. Right. So he says, have a purpose, get to work, do hard things, stay busy with the right things, the way that God is calling you. Don't take the foot off the gas for God, for the right reasons. It's going to be hard, but it's going to be worth it. And that's why Jesus put you on the planet, not to retire, but enjoy your life too. Right. So it's an interesting book called The Waste of Life. That was one that's been on my head quite a bit lately that I'm reading about, and that slaps me in the face pretty good. Okay, it's 2:41. We probably got to get to the billboard, or any of the last topics you want to hit on, Bradley. You want to just do your billboard, or you want to do something else? It's kind of your podcast with mine.
No, I think we're ready for the billboard. Give me the billboard question again. What is it?
The billboard question, which I copied and stole from Tim Ferriss, one of the interesting guys you'll ever listen to, wrote some really, really interesting books. Tools of the Titans, one of them. 7-day body, 5-day body, 48 something. Anyways, smart dude. And he asked all of his Tools of the Titans the same questions. And one of them that I picked and took away was, you have one big giant billboard. Huge. Everybody can see it. What is it and why? It's your billboard. Put anything you want on it, Bradley.
The one that I've been thinking about most recently with some stuff we have going on, projects at work, some personal stuff with the family and kiddos. We've decided to, I guess I should say I was part of it, but barely. We decided to renovate our kitchen. My whole life over the last 6 months has been flipped upside down, and I've been thinking a lot about habits. And there's something that I literally say every single day that came from Mandino, who's the author of The Greatest Salesman in the World. And which is
interesting book. I don't know if I liked it or not, but it's an interesting book. Yeah.
There was a little banger at the end. I didn't know the religious aspect was coming.
Yeah, like a little trap, like a trap door all of a sudden, right? Yeah. Yeah.
But his little mantra is something that I won't go too far into it. I say it literally every day, but one of them is, I will form good habits and become their slave. And I've been thinking about that when I didn't have my office, and this is my little happy place. But like you, this is where I get my work done. I didn't have this. And then we had travel, and we had all these other distractions. And I realized that you're going to go through, I am going through a season in my life where it is harder to get to my habits, which means I need to double down on what are the most significant ones. So that on the billboard, I would say form good habits and become their slave. Like that has been really a focal point for me of getting back into routine where I can be kind of my best self and not have all this anxiety and distractions and all this other BS that I think guys like us will struggle with. So that would be it. Yeah. Form good habits, become their slave.
And I think when you go through periods of life or your entire life where your life is chaotic and you're trying to simplify and de-stress, and even in the housing industry, right? Everything that they're doing with colors right now and tones and designs is to give you comfort and de-stress you, right? The trends in the kitchens, the trends in your master bathroom are all designed not to give you more white noise, to give you less white noise and comfort and peace. So to go with that, I just talked to that guy named George Kuntz, who used to play for the Packers. Had lunch with him yesterday. We just talked about that. He's that way. I'm that way. You're that way. A lot of people with a lot of chaos in their life pick routines. And Tim Ferriss, I think he said that in his book. The more you can pick a routine, the less your mind works. That wasn't his book, but a different book. And I think the brain craves a routine. So I would kind of challenge anybody to build off of that. Habits do not have to be. They can be big, hairy, audacious goals, which maybe you got out of this podcast. They can actually be the smallest things. Mother Teresa behind me, right? Impact lives in very, very small ways. It can be tying your, again, back to making your bed. I've mentioned that in another podcast. Just simply making your bed every morning the same way.
Yeah.
Right. Follow like a very simple routine. Eat the same thing for, a lot of people say that. Eat the same thing for lunch. You don't have to think about it.
Right.
It's one of the reasons we wear Drexel clothes. I don't have to think about what I wear. You don't got to say, what am I going to wear today? That's just another thing your brain has to chew on. Joel, at all these 2-minute decisions, that's what drives us nuts in 2026, all these 2-minute decisions. So yeah, I like it. Good. Cool. Thanks for coming on, Bradley. Looking forward soon to having you back as we announce and take care of the laboratory rat. What are we calling that person? More of what's a football term for that? Unrestricted free agent. No, that's not quite it. What's the guy that yeah? What do you like?
I like the lab rat. Where were you going?
I was like preferred walk on. Like you're not on scholarship. It's like preferred walk on. I kind of liked, or I liked what happens when they don't get drafted in the NFL, but they sign. So they're like, what's that called? They get a signing bonus. Like
the scholarship is very much what you're doing is you're giving.
They actually are on scholarship. They actually are NIL deal. So Jeremiah Smith, is that what we're going with? That's too far because I don't know if they're going to be any good. Jeremiah Smith, I mean that guy's good. Lab rats.
Was he Jeremiah Smith on the Packers now? Don't tell me that. Is he?
OSU wide receiver, junior, best player in the country.
I thought he got drafted. No,
Jeremiah Smith, one more year. You still got one more year to put up with him in college football.
Well, I mean, I literally have training content that is titled "Why I Hate Ohio State." Like,
right? No, that's right. That's why I did that to you. They have one more. You have one more year to put up with, like, probably the most ridiculous, freaky alien ever. What he's going to do this year, because what he did last year was ridiculous. This year is going to be comical.
That is, I just assumed he's so drafted.
You just hoped he was somewhere. You just hoped he was on some crappy team like the Titans, and you never hear about him again.
I can't tell. It's better if he's still at Ohio State, or I'm like, is he in the Packers? I got to deal with that guy for another 15 years. That'd be.
He's got to be number 1 overall next year. Anyways, good to have you on, Bradley. We'll talk soon about our. I guess we didn't come up with the term.
Scholarship player. Appreciate you. Appreciate you having me on.
Thank you, buddy. Take care. Love you, man. Peace and love. Out.
You bet.